So many people think that culture is a product, but it's the process. So to follow the culture is to actually follow this way of life. It's to follow that process. That's what makes us unique in the world. That's what gives us our identity.
It's important for people to gain this knowledge because of the high addiction rates, the high suicide rates. There's two-spirited people who I see repeatedly leave their families, leave their home communities.
As a teenager, I noticed that I was more attracted to males than I was females. In the community where I grew up, there was no talk about homosexuality. Although my mother, she was more a traditional person, she accepted people for what they are.
My mother initially wasn't very supportive when I first came out, but eventually through culture was able to reconnect to enough cultural information and knowledge. And she kind of journeyed with our Two-Spirit group in Edmonton for some of our knowledge transfer gathering ceremonies.
How I started learning as a young two-spirited person, feeling disconnected and lost, was I reached out to elders. Some elders weren't open to having those discussions, or they didn't know how to have those discussions with me. And the elders that did have those conversations with me had them in private, and they would quietly reassure me there that the knowledge that I was seeking was important and it was needed, and that they were aware of two-spirited people in our home community when they were children.
So it's really important that we know what our culture is so that we can follow it. So if you know your culture, then you get closer to those things that were given to us by the Creator and the Creator Mother. It's an important way to expand your mind and to expand your heart, to learn the most vital lessons of the culture, which is kindness and compassion.
I believe some of the reasons why Two-Spirit knowledge and Two-Spirit awareness went underground is the impact of colonization, and especially residential school.
Erasing our part of the community was important for the settlers and for the new arrivals because they wanted access to the resources of the land, and the people were in the way. And what made the people strong was our connection to spirit. And so if you want to minimize the strength of a community, then you go after their ceremonial people.
Powwows and sun dances all went underground up until 1951, when they changed the law. I was 22 when I saw my first powwow, Fort Pimatisiwin, Saskatchewan, in about 1962. So that I saw it. And when I saw these people dancing very proudly, I said, I have to dance.
In 2003, I engaged in a personal cultural knowledge gathering journey to find out about what does the culture say about us from a Cree perspective, nêhiyaw perspective here in Alberta. And doing that process was so challenging for me, but it was also exciting and scary.
The reason why we need men and women is because they have a very different perspective on the world, on their roles, and how they view the universe and who they speak to in the universe. Well, it's the same with all genders. With ̈mikwacîwâskahikan, it's neither man nor woman. It is all genders together, ̈mikwacîwâskahikan. And the roles of each of them would fall in the same way that it is identified, between men and women. We believe that there are 8 genders, so we'll say man, woman, a'equal, two-spirited. We have hermaphrodites, asexual, contrary, androgynous, and transgender.
I spent 5 years with the Indian Cultural College in Saskatoon working with elders. It's during that period that I learned a lot about Aboriginal culture. I learned somewhat about two-spirited people. There is a society with our Aboriginal people called amiskwacîwâskahikan, and apparently that society has a lot of two-spirited people. I've seen them in action, and they're beautiful people. They mostly perform at sundances. When they perform at sundances inside Sundance Lodge, people are urged not to look upon them because of their healing and spiritual powers.
When I was doing the cultural knowledge process and finding stuff out, two-spirit, gender-diverse folks were quite integral in ceremonies, in ritual, and in cultural practice. We're part of the medicine that the community needs to shift back into a level playing field for all of the genders, because there's more genders besides the male, female. The Adam and Eve story, right? That there's the rest of us that help those two do that work that they do.
When we're speaking about equal, what are we missing? What are we missing if we do not allow equal to blossom and find themselves and find their roles and find that knowledge, that huge medicine and contribution that they're making to the world?
So as we uncover and unpack all of this trauma that we've experienced as human beings on the planet, I can take solace in knowing that I fit now. I'm here for a reason. Creator created me for all kinds of reasons.
There are good people out there, people who want to share their knowledge, people who will love you just because you're you. They won't want anything from you. Their intent won't be to hurt you or embarrass you or shame you, but rather to nurture your learning, to nurture your growth, to listen to your process of learning.
One of our relatives was being honored. The family members were asked to get up and take part in the initial round dance. Well, we got up, or asked to get up. My partner sit down, but our family members said, "You are now part of the family. Get up." This was done in front of the whole community. They are accepting we are together, which is a good way of knowing that you are being accepted as a couple.